I guess that the best deck in the format is actually Marincess.
Yo, let's go. I almost cursed. YouTube doesn't like that anymore.
No, I thought you said, wait, no top?
We made top cut, just barely. That a loss on the last round kind of scared me. Hey, this is the deck list I top 8'd the Master Circuit series with just today. So I'd say a pretty standard Marincess list. This Mandarin is not necessary. I didn't really need it to come up that often. I slided it out every game in Top Cut, so you could run a 40 card like this. And I like the triple Pascalis because this is basically another way you beat removal on your normal summon. That's one of the deck's biggest weaknesses. And if you saw in Top Cut, there were quite a bit of Branded Despia, so if you get your normal banished and you can't put up another body, then you pass turn. So this is another way to beat that. And yeah, stuff like tech choices. The bells were really good. The cosmics were literally. Okay, so I only drew these cosmics ever in one game, and you'll see, it was against the Floodgate matchup, and I was like, and I still lost that. So I don't know what, like, that wasn't even close. So I overestimated how many people would be playing Runics, because there was only 6 out of 256 people that were on Runic, and that was the entire reason I put Cosmic Cyclone in the main deck at all. So yeah, these don't need to be here. But other than that, yeah, the deck it performed really well. I didn't brick one, so it was really nice. Maxis, I was like 50-50 on Maxi minigames, so fortunately that was enough to get me to Top Cut. And Toad is like still arguably like maybe the one of the best monsters in the extra deck. I made Toad every single game. Sag, I know his card won me so many games, and it's so great because Bahamut Shard gets you. It's just a body you can link off with after you summon a Toad. Like this, I'll discuss it at the end when I plan for this deck after the Toad ban. But yeah, this is definitely an incredibly crucial part of the deck, and when this goes away, how did I like end up playing the two decks that are the most affected by the Toad ban? Like man, I like this, like Marincess and Sharks, like come on. So anyway, I have some matches that I'm gonna review later, but I'll go over my matchups for the tournament. Round 1 I played against Swordsoul. Round 2 was another Swordsoul, meaning anti-spell fragments. That's caught me off guard first sec, because I drew double Called by the Grave and I couldn't set them because of they were gonna get popped if I did. I can't activate them on their turn. Round 3 played against a blind second Magistus deck, meaning D-shifters. I have no idea what literally any of those cards do, and I kind of got lucky that they bricked, so I won that. Round 4 against Adagnister was the fakest game I've ever been a part of. I got Nibiru on my turn. My Ash got called by it on their turn, and then they crossed out a second Nibiru to negate my Nibiru on their turn. And I died. That was absolutely like that. Literally, I had 0% chance to ever win that game. So I was 3-1 at that point, and I basically had to win out. I felt the top. Round 5 against Dragon Link, I went first, did full combo. They drew Nibiru for their turn, Yu-Gi-Oh! Round 6 versus Dinomorphia. was a little scary. I got full comboed into Lava Golem, but thankfully, actually I'll show you this matchup later. So yeah, I'll show you what played out there. Round 7 was my first Math Fact matchup, which was, it took me 7 rounds for me to face my first Math Fact. I just faced a lot of Rogue. They were the second most represented deck. So anyway, it was the VTuber Eclipse XV on Twitch. If you want to check them out. I mean, yeah, they just brick. They literally set diameter set 2 pass on them. My turn, their only disruption was an Infirm, so I basically went full combo again. Argonaut, Toad, and then one from there. Round 8, round 8 was against Guru. I drew both my Cosmics. You know, you would think that'd be good. You know, that's why you put them there. But no, I got Hidden City, Necro Valley, Lava Golem, Tisabud. So, you know, I could only pop 2 out of those 3 things with my 2 Cosmics. So yeah, thankfully I lost my second loss was on the very last round. So both of us, my opponent topped, so my tiebreakers just barely good enough to get me top 8. And then top 16 was incredibly unfortunate. My opponent was on Swordsoul. They went first game 1, they DC'd, and then we had a little bit of connection issues for like the next however so minutes trying to arrange the game. And then game 2, I'll show my Top Gun matches, but basically game 2, he kind of just bricked and couldn't, and just basically made a changing, and I drew Imperm to be able to play through it. Also, I think I even gave them an extra turn, but I set the Imperm in the Blackout column, so yeah. And then top 8 was against the winner of the event, Tyrese. Congrats, dude. Yeah, game 1 I went first. I went full combo. I actually got super polyed, I think, but I had enough follow up to kill them because Marincess follow up is insane. And game 2 was my biggest misplay of the tournament. I think my only noticeable misplay was that, again you'll see, but I used my hand traps order wrong, and that basically costed me the game. And then game 3 I got Nibiru'd, was still able to make a play afterwards, but my board wasn't strong enough to withstand Branded Despia. Although, I mean, it was close. We got into a grind game, but I used up too much resources on my turn 1 after getting Nibiru'd, so I couldn't do anything after. So yeah, that was my tournament experience. I'll show some matches, some matches I recorded along the way that I think were notable right now. Okay, so against my Dinomorphia matchup, this is how a lot of my games go. You open some variant of Blue Tang or Pascalas and another level 4, and you have basically full Marincess combo to end on Argonaut with at least 1 equip, maybe with Ocean, maybe with not, plus a Toad. So I'll speed this up just to, if we can get this going. I will dump a Seahorse and then add back the Seahorse. As you noticed, I didn't notice a delay when I summoned NBT, so I figured there was no Ash, so we were free to use NBT on the summon of Blue Tang. We don't need the chain block against Ash. Then we'll summon Seahorse, summon Sea Angel, and Sea Angel will get us our Battle Ocean since we already have Dive. And next, I thought about this for a little bit. Koro Anemone and Koro Anemone bring back NBT it gets belled, which is really funny that I accidentally played around Bell because I wasn't playing around Ashe. But it's fine since we go Battle Ocean, and then again because I don't fear the Ashe, we go Dive and when Battle Ocean's on the field, Dive can summon a Marincess monster from deck. So I'll summon Spring Girl. And this is already enough material for Toad since we already have the extra extender in hand of Sleepy Maiden. So we go to Bahamut Shark into Toad. Summon out the Sleepy Maiden targeting Ocean. Go into Coral Triangle. And this is the near the end of the combo. You always want to you add something back with Coral Anemone, and you always want to use Battle Ocean when you summon Coral Triangle just in case, you know, if something, whatever goes wrong. You do have a big Coral Triangle still. Anyway, we discard the thing, we add off Coral Anemone to get the Marincess Wave to hand. Then we go Marincess Wave into Argonaut, and then we get to equip 3 of our Link monsters from Grave. And this is the standard end board. I made this board so many rounds. Like almost every round our goal was to make this board. So a spell Trap Negate with Argonaut, a totally awesome Omni Negate, Marincess Wave that will make our monsters unaffected as soon as it resolves, while also being an effect negation, and however many Veilers we draw. So unfortunately, the funny thing about this match is, so our opponent starts off with Lord. Thought about it for a bit, but I'm like, yeah, we're not negating this. I thought about this for a long time. I probably thought about it for a bit too long. That was not necessary. Yeah, so our opponent will set 4. We go to the end phase. And the annoying thing is, Argonaut is only during our opponent's turn. It's only a spell and trap and negate on our opponent's turn. So it's actually not live right now. But you'll see it does come up later. And we have all this follow-up in Grave still. So I'm trying to see if there's a way I could push for game. I thought about this for a long time. Pascal's, I eventually decided on Pascal's, add back Dive. We'll negate the Frenzy. They're gonna call by our totally awesome, and we drew Bell for the turns because we're like a sack. So yeah, the Bell on the call by allowing the Toad to negate the Frenzy, and we set to our field so there's no more like Kejigina shenanigans. Like that basically won the game. And now this is just fighting a way through Teal Decay through 2 back row and a Lord. So 1 back row, Argonaut can return any card back to the hand, so Argonaut deals with 1 back row. I just have to bait out 1 more back row. So I'm just summoning monsters, see if until eventually I'm forced them to flip something. We'll bring back Mandarin. And I've thought about my lines of play a lot apparently. This is honestly I probably thought about them too much, but yeah, MBT. Put back MBT and put back the furthest back row. Then we go Dive. Summon out Pascalis, and then this Pascalis that we summon will special summon our MBT. And I'm trying to figure out what can I do to bait more back row. So we go Mandarin into Blue Slug. They let it go. At this point, I know it's a Solemn Judgment because everything I activate has a response window, and there was a response window when I summoned Blue Slug before I could use its trigger effect. So finally, after some more deliberation, damn, my timer went down quite a bit. I went to Koro Enemy, and they're gonna summon the Koro Enemy, which is interesting. And then they're gonna summon Lord with Maxi, because you know that's relevant. Yeah, and as soon as they flip their Solemn Judgment, the game is over. Because we can summon Spring Girl, and we don't even need to bounce back their Lord. We can attack over with Argonaut. Their last back row, they just said a Lord they can't use. So this is game. Since they basically saw themselves twice, so they were down to 2k. So this is the game that I was talking about against the Magistus guy. I get de-shifted on Pascal's. Obviously, I'm not thinking they're on Magistus. I'm thinking they're on Flu, and I'm dead. So we summon MBT. Don't use its effect because like it's pointless. Banish something from my deck, and then I decide to, for a while, decide if I even want to do anything, or see if I can. I eventually decide that to go into Sea Angel with NBT, so I can at least guarantee myself some sort of follow up with Dive, even though it's theoretically it's really bad follow up in a theoretical Flu matchup. Yeah, after some thinking, hard think, we go Sea Angel, trigger its effect, and I'm thinking, are they gonna Ash this? And they do. So I'm like, sure. So now there's no real point going into anything else, so I just end up passing my turn. On their turn, they summon a monster. I've seen this card once in my entire life. I have no idea what it does, and of course my Veiler is dead because they shifted. And I see that they had an effect that searches. I have no idea what any of these cards do. I have no idea what the game plan for this deck is. I just see that I have a viable Ash target, and at this point they know it's Ash because I revealed it for so long because of the toggle. So I just ashed it, and thankfully it appears that stopped them enough, or that they didn't draw enough cards from their engine. So they're just gonna attack over our Pascalas and end their turn after setting 2 more back row. But now Shifter is off, so we can try to play the game. If we want to Imperm, that it would be good if we live till next turn. Fire off Signet Mining, and we'll get our NBT. Summon NBT, uses effect, and we're gonna. They have a response. I'm thinking it's Imperm. It has to be Infirm on the response of NBT, since it wasn't a Solemn-like card, since it didn't trigger before my trigger effect. So I think for a while, and I end up dumping Spring Girl, so I could threaten to add it back with Blue Tang. First we go into an enemy, use NBT. They have a called by. True. Completely fine with that, because honestly that was probably the worst thing they could call by, since it's not even a guarantee. If you have a called by, I would generally save against Marincess. I would generally save it for Dive in a game state like this, because it's very unlikely for me to get access to Ocean. So when you hit NBT, it's not even a guarantee that I get a card. But apparently they have 2 anyways, so they're gonna also call by an enemy target. So now I have no Marincess in grave. And once again, I have no engine, so pretty much just gonna have to. I read their card for a while, because I didn't know if they would have an effect that would trigger if I would attack over it. So After a bit more of reading, I see that it's safe to attack over it. Then I'll set Imperm. Crucially, okay, I'm not sending Imperm in the column of their spell and trap, because if I have to Imperm something on their turn, I don't want that card to be an Imperm, and then they get Imperm my Imperm, negating their card, so that my Imperm would get negated and their attack, their card effect would go through. So I set it here in the middle so that it would resolve if I have to use it. And this is the exact situation I was talking about, where we get to Imperm their monster without the threat of our Imperm getting Impermed if I set it in the left EMZ column. Anyway, we draw Pascalis, which is an insane draw. Pretty much any Marincess monster at this point is an insane draw. So I still don't know what that back row is. So after some deliberation, I decided to start with Coral Enemy's effect to bring back Sea Angel to see if it was possibly an Imperm, because they had no reason to fire off last turn and it wasn't. So we normal Pascalis, and you really see this board. You go into double Sea Angel on the field, and then trigger Sea Angel's effect. At this point, I have no idea what that could be, because it's a toggle effect, but it's clearly not Imperm. They would have definitely fired off earlier. So I count how many bodies I have, and this is just enough to go into a Link 4, so I'll get at Battle Ocean instead of Dive. And then we go into... So the play is going into Coral Triangle, and you always want to trigger Battle Ocean just in case. And then the enemy will get us our Pascalis back. That's our only Marincess monster, funnily enough, in the grave. Then we'll dump Pascalis to get Marincess Wave. That back row is like nothing to me right now. It's doing nothing for them, so maybe it's a crossover or something, but it's like basically useless. Now we get to go into our Link 4 Argonaut. And since we search Battle Ocean, we get to equip 3 links to it. And most importantly, just equipping Coral Enemy back to our Link monsters is insane, because that means every turn we get an add back with it to our add back Marincess card from our grave to our hand. Opponent draws another brick, we'll assume. And yeah, I got nothing. I got no monsters. I have nothing to add back off the Pascalis and grave, so we're just gonna attack, put them at 400. I don't think this Nibiru is live in this matchup, but thankfully neither was their hand. Okay, this was my round 8 match. I was 6-1 at this point. If I won this, I was in. So anyway, this is not the interesting stuff. This is the we end on Argonaut plus Toad. Okay, that with 3 hand traps plus a wave, and I'm thinking I'm topping. Okay. And then thought about this for a while. I was thinking, what are they doing to play through this board? Oh, Lava Golem. Why did you think that hard? Okay, so anyway, this is a misplay. You always want to grab Dive back with a Coral Enemy as opposed to another monster usually. Since Dive is with a grave setup, Dive is is your best extender. And Toad, I'll just add back another monster. So I still have follow up for next turn, and I still get to play through this Lava Golems. And I have a Cosmic for this Flecking matchup, so I'm still thinking we're fine. They activate Hidden City, and maybe I should have ashed this and held the Cosmic, since I would have stopped them from adding the Guru anyways. They would just have a Hidden City on the field chilling, and there's the Lord that doesn't really do a whole lot since none of my well, the second cosmic. As you can see, none of my removal is destruction based. So yeah, I decide to hold the cosmic in case of a floodgate. So we normal Pascalis, and then into Blue Tang. Now Blue Tang, I'll send. Yeah, I end up sending a Spring Girl. And here we get punished. They flipped on Dogmatica Punishment, right? And that ends my turn. Yeah, Nintez pops my Blue Tang, and I have no more Marincess monsters. And this is where I should have added Dive back. Because if I added Dive back, granted I wouldn't be able to summon both Blue Tang and Pascalis, but I would be able to apply pressure with. They just flip that so they can summon out their lord. No biggie. So I would be able to normal summon Blue Tang and do my plays that way, and see if I could bait out the punishment that way. And then if they do anything, even if they pop my normal summon, I would still have a way to extend with Dive. But instead of, because I added back Pascalis and summoned my NBT, and those are my only two Marincess monsters, I passed my turn to like a board wipe trap card, which I wasn't playing around. So anyway, yeah, we just have to pass in this Lava Golem. They drew Extravagance for turn. So, and they used Metaverse, so Metaverse can get them their Hidden City too. So I'm like, I have to Ash the Extravagance, and then put them on end phase. They don't use the Metaverse for Hidden City. They actually Metaverse for Necro Valley, which is annoying to say the least. So on my turn, I had a play where Pascalis is in the grave, so if I Cosmic their Necro Valley, I could get back Dive and then start playing like that. I didn't see that at the heat of the moment. Unfortunately, they pass as well, and we draw into a Pascalis of our own, another monster. Well, at this point, I'm like dying to the Lava Golem hardcore. I've taken like 3k damage to the Lava Golem. Now we're gonna Cosmic the Necro Valley. I'm thinking, okay, now I can play the game again. Their other back row is a final battle with now the Subterror monster in the field. So we normally summon Pascalis. And they flip Tikavoo, and at this point I have no more outs in my deck. I don't think there is a single way for me to play the game anymore. I cannot go into anything in my extra deck. The Lava Golem cannot run over the Lord, so they could just literally wait and just burn me to death. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the game. As you can see, I have these two monsters on the board the entire time and I couldn't do anything. Oh yeah, this match put me to 6-2. And thankfully my second loss was at the very last round. So as you can see, we still managed to top it at 14th place. Okay, this is game 2 of my top 16 match against Swordsoul, obviously. Game 1 he DC'd. It's very unfortunate. So, I forgot to record the beginning of the match, but basically, on his first turn, all he had was long guns, so he long gun for a Changing and then just set 2. And on my turn, I normaled a monster, which got hit with Infirm, and then I passed. And this set card in the middle is an Infirm that I set. I was reading he had a blackout, so I put down the Infirm in one of these columns, hoping it would be the blackout column, and at the same time it also prevents their shinging from banishing our cards, so that was nice. And then he attacked for 3k, and then I passes back to my turn. I normal summon a monster, go into the blue slug, and add back our seahorse. A special the seahorse. At this point he flips blackout, and I was so lucky that I picked the right column for Imperm, so now I get to negate the blackout and I get to negate the Changing, which is insane. And now I get to... I said they have one possible form of interruption with their back row. I don't think they're on hand trap at this point. Sea Angel goes through. So it's definitely not Ash they have, because they would have Ashed this. And I think for a bit, they decide to finally activate Battle Ocean, and then figuring out if I want an enemy first or dive. So we go an enemy first. You know, equip the links. Use an enemy's effect to bring back our Pascalis. And you know, funny thing, I put the blue slug in the middle column of the Imperm column so that I will never accidentally activate a card in the Imperm column. That's a funny Marincess tech. So anyway, now we can Marincess dive out. I figured they really do not have anything at this point. You can even blue MBT to dump Spring Girl. And I do a greedy play. I don't go to Toad immediately. I go to Coral Triangle with MBT and Coral Enemy, and then the enemy will add back our Spring Girl as an extender that we dumped. And we get the Excavate with MBT as well, so we get another Spring Girl. And since we hit the extra Marincess monster, we get to dump it for dive, and then we also get to summon the Spring Girl and make Toad with it. Yeah, that's how sometimes you can high roll with this deck by trying to hit off and excavate off MBT just to get an extra water monster. And now we have Toad, Bahamut, and Aqua Argonaut with at 4300, so we can attack over their Changing. Yeah, and now we have Nib, Valor, Wave, and 2 negates on board, and this is pretty much the end of the game. I know Swordsoul can play through a lot, but they can't play through 5 interruptions with just 3 cards. Yeah, they're setting a monster. We'll do the safe play to go for game. Pascalis, add back, dive. Dive something. Doesn't really matter. Oh, we got Max Seed, but we're only giving them 1 draw off the Max Seed. Someone. So I should have paid attention to we were having connection issues during this game, so the delays were actually not responses that he could activate. They were actually just connection issues. So yeah, anyway, we bounce back Blue Tang, bounce back their set, add Blue Tang back to our hand, and free Nora, and this is game. Even if we have to negate something with Toad. Oh yeah, GG's man, sorry about the connection issues. Okay, this is game 2 of my top 8 match against Branded Despia. And I make a huge misplay. It happens really early to catch on, and that basically cost me the game. This guy eventually won the whole thing, so congrats to him. We're gonna start off with opening. We'll chain Maxi to it. Probably shouldn't chain Maxi to this. It doesn't matter. They're just gonna add it to their hand, and if I stop them, I just lost a Maxi for no reason. Yeah, they're gonna ditch Feather Duster. That's not gonna be helpful against me anyways. A normal Alibur. And here I Gamma. This is absolutely the incorrect hand trap to use at this point. And I immediately realized it as soon as I activated Gamma. My Imperm is now dead the moment I resolved Gamma. I was being greedy, and I was thinking, if I can stop them with this one hand trap, then I can hold Imperm for my turn and be live, because Marincess can't OTK usually, not with this hand, so I could hold my Imperm and have an extra disruption on their turn. Whereas if I stopped them with Imperm and held Gamma, Gamma would be useless in my hand. But as you will see, I get hard punished, because they hard open Branded Fusion, and now I can't Imperm their Lubellion. Had I just Impermed the Alibur, yeah, I wouldn't be able to stop the Lubellion, but I would be able to stop the Albion add back of Branded and Red at their end phase. And then they would have no disruptions. So yeah, that was a misplay. Summon out Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade's gonna dump their Albion, banish our Gamma, sure. And end phase set Branded and Red. If I had just Impermed the Alibur and held the Gamma, that Branded and Red would not be there, and they would have no disruptions, and we would have won the game. So instead, we'd have to play through a Branded and Red. And at this point, yeah, we get Guardian Chimera. Yeah, actually, I don't know if there was a line here. Yeah, we popped our MBT. Now we're gonna Imperm their Mirror Jade so that at least we could see if our extender can get her anywhere. Unfortunately, without our normals, since they popped a normal summon, we only really have 2 live monsters in hand, and there's no way I could access. Like, I thought about this is a long video. I thought about my plays a lot. I couldn't add Ocean. Without Ocean, we can't beat over either of these monsters. That's problem with Marincess. We don't have enough extenders to make Argonaut and then be able to bounce the Mirror Jade back. Yeah, this is just me like cycling through my gears, like just doing stuff, eventually ending. We eventually, like, none of this is really that eventful. We just did a lot of stuff to end on a bubble reef. And right now it's too small, so on draw phase we're gonna try to Mirror Jade our bubble reef, and we have to wave it to have any chance. And now we get to at least get a standby phase to banish so that it's at 32. Unfortunately, it's still too small to not get run over by Guardian Chimera. So yeah, we lose our board. They're gonna call by our Coral Triangle, which is our main form of follow-up in situations like this. And now it's like really over. There's like nothing we can do. I can Ash the Albion. It's like whatever. I have no outs left in my deck. You see, I tried playing this for a while, and you see, eventually I just had no more gas. I used up all my extenders, every possible thing. We even go into Marble Rock, and then an enemy to get back. Recycle all our cards. We can't beat over the 3k attack threshold without Battle Ocean. I believe our Battle Ocean got here. Yeah, we add Battle Ocean and our Battle Ocean gets Cosmic. So like we didn't even have enough. We couldn't even make a Link 4 anyways at this point. Not enough extend. Like that was our one possibility of being able to get this out of this, was to make just a big Link 4 and run over one of their monsters. But yeah, after the Cosmic there was nothing we could do. And yeah. This This is just me stalling, seeing if I can. At this point, I don't have anything left in my extra deck either. You see me putting back Link monsters back to my extra with Coral and Enemy. That's never what you want to be doing with this deck because you don't get advantage out of that. And of course, they added Branded Fusion off of their Alba Lenatussi. So yeah, that's. And yeah, the Gamma basically cost us. Had I ordered my hand traps properly, I would have been in top 4. But instead, we lost game 2, and then game 3 I got nibbed for my life, and yeah, those were some key matches I wanted to highlight. So, oh, and I guess I forgot to show. This was my deck list, or my side deck for my 2 rounds of top 8. I mean, I felt like the problem is I did not side enough for Branded Despia. That was my hardest matchup. I didn't expect there to be much Branded Despia, so I should have figured otherwise. As you can see, this Gold match is not really good against them. These cards are not really good. Spell trap removal is like mid. Obviously, Gamma is really good going second, and Bell's decent. But when I realized that when I was going first, right, I would side in Bell, and then I would have nothing else I want to side in. So like I sided in Gozens just cause, you know, maybe they go for Lubellion, maybe I could punish that, but like that never happened. And then spell and trap removal is like cool. It's not an interruption. Like it doesn't stop it in their play. So it's like, yeah, that's another reason I lost to Branded Despia. That's not a good enough side deck. And I honestly oversided for Swordsoul. Like Swordsoul isn't even my hardest matchup. Like it's more like Swordsoul is like a 50-50 matchup already. So like double nib and double token collector is like, I shouldn't need the token collector. It is nice you can mill token collector off Spring Girl, but I mean that never happens really. So yeah, these token collectors I feel could have been crows or more anti Despia stuff. The Gammas were really good. Gammas, I would always side in Gamma, even if it's at 2. Whether for going second, it's the best card for going second. Oh yeah, that was my tournament experience. I had a lot of fun. You know, made made $25 for top 8th. You know, that's more money than I've ever made playing this game. Yeah. As for what I'll do with this deck after Toad gets banned, I'm not gonna play this for a while. Obviously, this deck in its current state without Toad, it's just not. I just don't think it's good enough to compete. Toad is so important for the deck's end boards. Like I made Toad every round, and the one round I didn't make Toad, and I lost. So top 8. But I will pick up this deck again once Zeolantis comes to Master Duel. For those of you who don't know, Zeolantis, I'll put a picture up. Zeolantis is the Link 4 / Link 1 that you can make with one monster for Marincess. It's a water that basically clears the board. It's really good for Marincess since you're supposed to special summon the monsters that you clear with Zeolantis back, but because you waterlock yourself, you are the one that special summons the monsters. So you just board wipe them for free, and they don't get any non-water monsters back, and it's really cool. And that's something Marincess needs. Like as you saw in like my Branded Despia, I have really big trouble clearing big monsters without access to Battle Ocean, and it's clearing multiples is like almost impossible. So just having a board wipe is really big for the deck. And I'll pick this deck back up in Master Duel when that comes.